Hello everyone, this is Richard Eaton, your CTEC 134 instructor. In this video, we're going to cover queries that require multi-table joins. Today, we have covered queries fairly extensively, only using one table. In this video, we're going to focus on queries that require us to use 2 and 3 tables. And I'm going to use the TAL distributors database for this example. And I've already have SQL Server running, as you can see, and I already have my, my sample script open. And I also have TAL distributors expanded so I can see my tables here. We're going to start, of course, by using the TAL distributors RIC. I'll execute that just to get that out of the way. And that was successful, so we're done with that. In the first example, it asks us to list the customer number, the customer name, and their associated order numbers and order dates. Well, that comes from 2 tables. And I have a hint here that says what you should do first, after you read your requirements, is identify what columns are coming from what tables. So you want to look at that first. And in this case, we can see customer number. We know that happens to be actually in 2 tables. It's in our customer table and in our orders table. And the customer name is only in the customers table. And the order numbers and order dates, these last 2, order numbers and order dates, are only in the orders table. So we're going to have to join the customer table with the orders table. When you do that, you're going to have column names that are common to both tables. In this particular case, we know that we have a customer number in the customer table and a customer number in the orders table. And in that case, when we create our select query, we have to be sure to fully qualify that particular column name, the customer number column name, because it's in 2 places. And we have to tell SQL which one we're talking about. And if you don't fully qualify it, you will get an error talking about some ambiguous column. I'll show you an example of that here in a minute. And the way you specify a fully qualified field name or column name is to specify the table and a period and then the actual column name. TBL customer.customer_num, or in this TBL orders.customer_num. So I've already created the select statements to say, so we don't have to waste time trying to type in these commands. But let's look at this first select statement. In the first row, we're going to select the columns we need, and I'm going to specify the customer num from the customer table by fully qualifying it, TBL customer.customer_num. The customer name is only in 1 column, so I don't need to specify that. I can just leave it customer name. And order num and order date, those 2 columns are only in the orders table, so we don't have to fully qualify those names either. In the from statement, this first syntax I'm going to show you is not really what I recommend, but you can use it if you want. So in this syntax, the from statement says from TBL customer, TBL orders, comma TBL orders, where, and this is how we join the two together, where TBL customer.customer_num equals TBL orders.customer_num. So that's how we want SQL to join. And I'll go ahead and run that and show you what it looks like. And we have 8 output records. If we went and looked at the orders, contents of the orders table, we would see that there are 8 order records. And it may make sense to you that we should only get 8 records here. You might also say that, well, there are 12 customer records, but we only have 8 output records. What's going on here? We'll cover that situation here in a minute. If you did not specify the customer table here, in other words, you did not fully qualify that particular column and tried to run this, here it is. The error message is ambiguous column name customer none. And it's because it doesn't know which one to use. So I'll put that one back. And so this is pretty straightforward. One thing that happened with this particular join, it's called an inner join, by the way, and that's what join types are by default if you don't specify otherwise. It only includes the records where it could match the records from the first table with records from the second table. And when it couldn't create a match, it just skipped them. It just doesn't show any output for that. And that is called an inner join, and that's the default condition. Another way to construct this query is to use the join on syntax. And it is the preferred method because it will allow you to join all the records from a selected table, whether they are matching another record in the other table or not. And so it's more versatile, and I think it's a good idea to get in the habit of using the join on syntax and get comfortable with that syntax. And that's what I think most experts would recommend, that you use the join on syntax. So here it is. Here is that same query right here using the join on syntax. The first row where I select the columns I want are exactly the same as in the first syntax, same columns. And then I have a from statement. That's the same as up here, a from statement. And then I specify TBL customer, the same up here, but I replace that comma up here. I replace that with an inner join command. And then I specified the second table, TBL orders. So I have an inner join here instead of a comma. And then I put the on portion of this statement on a separate line because I think it's a little easier to read. The on statement says TBL customer.customer num equals TBL orders.customer num, which is exactly the same as the where condition up here. So the difference here is this. In the comma, we use inner join instead of the comma here, and instead of a where condition, we use an on condition. And otherwise these two are the same. So if I run this particular query, I get the same output. The above queries show only the records that have matches, as I said previously. The default join type is the inner join. It turns out this word inner I could have left off. I could have said just join, and SQL Server will say, oh, well, you must mean an inner join because you didn't specify an outer join or a full join. So it assumes you want an inner join. I could have left it out, but I put it in this case. If we have a situation where we want to get all the records from one of the tables, even if they don't match, we have to specify either a left or a right outer join. And so here's the query. First line is exactly the same. The second line is the same. Oops. From TBL customer, but I replaced inner join up here with left outer join. And then I specified the orders. So the difference is, instead of saying inner join, I said left outer join. And then the on statement is exactly the same. We're going to join these based on the common field customer num. And let's look at what happens. What I get here is 14 output records. Well, that doesn't match the 12 customer records that I have, nor does it match the 8 order records that I have. So what's going on here? If you look at the data, we see that I have 126, customer number 126 and customer number 126 twice. And the reason for that is that if you look at the orders table, that particular customer, Toys Galore, has ordered twice. The same is true down here with customer number 586. That particular customer has 2 orders. But then there are customers that don't have any orders at all. And those are these that are identified with null here under the order number and order date column. What happened here is SQL said, we want every customer record, whether they match an order record or not. And so when it got to customer number 440, it could not match an order record because they don't have any orders. Same was true with 502. And so what happens is that SQL Server says, well, I have no value to show you under order number or order date, so it puts null on both of these right here. Okay. Now my comment here says, try switching the table order. Put orders on the left, for example. What I did here is, in the prior one, I had from TBL customer, and then I had a left outer join TBL orders. But I'm putting the orders first. So I'm saying I want from TBL, from TBL orders, right outer join TBL customer. So I'm saying I want you to select all the records from the customer from the table on the right, which is customer. That should produce the same output as the prior one. So I'll run these two together. And we'll look at this. And it does produce the same output exactly. So it doesn't matter which table you put on the left or right. The reason why I put these this portion of my select statements on one line instead of multiple lines is that it's easier to see what's the left table and what's the right table. But how you format it is totally up to you. So changing the order table and the customer table, flip-flopping them, it doesn't matter as long as I change it from a left to a right down in the outer join. Now, one thing, I'll go ahead and just run one of these here. Run this again. One thing is, I might only be interested in just the customers who have not placed orders, and that's 440, 502, 665, and 713, and these two down here. So try adding a where order num is null. In other words, what would happen if I only wanted to see these records where they don't have orders? I am going to copy this statement right here, or this one. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'll do this one. Control C. Control V. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a where condition, and I'm going to specify where order num is null. And so in this query, I'm only getting the records where customers have no orders. When you specify a null condition, when you want null, some people make this habit where order num equals null, and that doesn't work. Watch what happens. Nothing. And so then they'll put null in quotes and they'll try all kinds of things and it doesn't produce the correct results. The proper way to say this is where order num is null. Okay. Now we'll finish up by adding some information from the order line table. So in this particular query, it says this, we want the same as above, but we want to include order info like the item numbers, number ordered, quoted price. And that those fields are actually in the order line table. So we need to join the order line table. In this query, I have used, I shouldn't have done this. I have used the first syntax up here, the first syntax. In my next video, I'll try to show you this using the preferred syntax. But I specified here that I want the customer num and name from the customer table, the order num and order date. No, wait a minute. I think, no, I did this correctly. I'm sorry. Never mind on, this does use the new syntax. I'm sorry. Never mind. I've specified all the fields I want, and these last three fields come from the item table. And so the syntax is from TBL customer. And I'm going to left outer join the orders table on TBL customer. Customer num equals TBL orders customer num. That's just like before. And then I'm going to left outer join everything from the order line table, or at least the fields that I've specified from the order line table, whether they match or not. That's this last line. Watch this. So in this case, we have columns that come from three separate tables. The null columns are the same. So that's all I'm going to show you right now in this particular video. In my next video, we'll cover a concept called outer joins and full outer joins. Thank you.